First component of a good osteoporosis exercise program is doing posture exercises. Not only will they help you with your posture, but it will also help you strengthen the muscles that surround the spine. And we know that's a vulnerable area. Unfortunately, poor posture is so common these days, especially with all our computer use and all our text messaging. So many of us have head forward posture or kyphosis even at a very, very early age. And it is really harmful in terms of developing impingements, early arthritis. When one is hunched over the whole time, the lung capacity is diminished. So we might actually feel like we can't take a deep breath, or we might feel more fatigue than we normally would. And then in relation to osteoporosis, the head is so heavy, it's about 10 pounds, sometimes 12 pounds. And if it's forward, the pressure on the neck and upper back is great. So we want to make sure to have great posture. Also, if our head is forward and we're walking around like this, it leads to poor balance and increase in falls. It changes our proprioception. So let's start now with a resistance band, and I'm going to show you a few exercises that will help your posture and also help to strengthen some of the muscles in the upper back. So grab a resistance band, and we're going to bring the arms at shoulder level. And if you're a beginner, you want to use a very light resistance band. As you get stronger, you would use a thicker one. It's good to have a variety of different bands, easy, medium, and heavy. So the pull apart is a great way to start. Very simply, bring the arms apart. And the important thing on this is to feel the upper back working. You want to feel the shoulder blades coming towards each other. Nice straight arms, and simply pull apart. So today I'll show you just a few repetitions of some of the exercises. When you're doing a complete program, you would do approximately 10 repetitions to start. And as you get stronger, you can add on to that and maybe even do 2 sets of 10. The other exercise besides the pull apart is the diagonal pull apart, where we bring our arms out on the diagonal, again, bringing the shoulders back, bringing the shoulder blades towards each other. And as always, start in your best posture. Try to bring those ears over the shoulders. And then we go on the other diagonal, straight arm pull apart on the diagonal. Okay. For our posture, it's a wonderful thing to be able to, almost on a daily basis, to do the double chin stretch. We bring our chin down, bringing the chin towards the chest, and very gently push the head back where it belongs, bringing the ears over the shoulders. So what you can do if you feel that this is something that you're having trouble with, you can take 2 fingers, gently place them on the chin, look down, make the double chin neck stretch, and then gently help the head come back where it belongs, right over the shoulders. Let's take one hand weight now to do the one arm row, an exercise that will help strengthen some of the muscles around the upper spine. Okay. When you start strength training, you start with a very light hand weight, and that's going to mean something a little different for everybody. If you're an experienced exerciser, but you're just newly diagnosed with osteoporosis, you might want to, your light weight might be a little heavier than someone who has never strength trained. So it's basically trial and error as to what weight you start with. The way you know if you're using the right weight is once you get to about repetition 5 or 7, you should feel a little fatigue. So let's take the weight in the right hand. The left leg goes forward. We're going to hip hinge so that spine is straight from head to tailbone. So we don't want the head hanging because we don't want to have a rounding in the upper back. And we bring this arm up and gently in towards the body. So this way we focus in on our upper back and we don't just 100% use the arm. It's very easy to do this exercise and really make it a bicep exercise. We want to originate the move from the upper back. And again, we're not going to do a full 10 repetitions. This is really just to give you an introduction to strength training for osteoporosis. Let's take the weight in the other arm. We bring the opposite leg forward, hip hinge. You can rest your hands on your leg, or if you have a chair near you, if you're more comfortable on the chair. You want to try to be as comfortable as you can throughout the exercise session. Pull and release. Think upper back, back of the shoulder. Don't just use the arm. Try to engage that upper back area. Bring the arm close into the body. Maybe bring the elbow a little bit in towards the spine at the top. Okay. And that is called the one arm row, and there's numerous variations on that. Now hold on to 2 weights and we'll do another exercise that will not only help our posture, but will help strengthen the muscles around the spine. One of our goals is to keep the muscles around the spine really, really strong. So this way it helps to protect the spine if you do any movement that might not be done in a smooth manner in your day-to-day activities. All right, let's do our reverse fly. We bend the knees. Again, we have that hip hinge, straight spine. And we're going to bring the arms apart. Elbows go slightly higher than the level of the hand weights. Think about bringing the shoulder blades together. And, for some of us, even using a 1 pound weight might be a little bit too much. If that's the case, do the exercise without a hand weight. Just bring the arms apart, shoulder blades come together. And again, you have to put your mind into the muscle that you're trying to target. You don't want another area to take over. So think upper back, shoulder blades come together. All right. So let's move on to another component of fitness. Before you can actually start doing some of the basic strength training exercises, the question is, do you even have sufficient balance to participate in the program? So we have to test that out. The basic test would be the 1 leg balance, just bringing that leg up, seeing if you can balance for 10 seconds. Try that. For some people, that's very easy. Some people, it's going to be quite challenging. And then try the other leg. See if you can hold that leg up and balance. About 10 seconds would be a good start. If you do have trouble with that, that's something to try to work on a daily basis. So assuming you can balance on one leg for 10 seconds, keep a chair next to you, and we go right into straight leg raises. With the next exercise, we strengthen our quads, which help us keep our knees strong and also helps with our balance. So our goal is to be able to lift this leg up slowly and down slowly. When the leg comes up, gently bring the abdominals in towards the spine. If that's difficult for you, keep one hand on a chair or just something, a piece of furniture, something that's near you. Bring that leg up slowly and down slowly. When you bring the leg up, you want to make sure not to lean back and not to lean forward. You want your torso to stay still. Bring that leg up, keep the abdominals in. And let's say you're able to do this holding on. Maybe graduate to 2 fingers on the chair. Maybe 1 finger on the chair. Slowly up and slowly down, and then go to the other leg. As you get stronger, we add resistance onto the ankle, be it a band or ankle weight. We also can start to add hand weights, perhaps a lateral raise while we're doing our quad strengthening and balance exercise. If we do the exercise like this, it doesn't incorporate balance, but by going slowly, it works on balance and quad strength. After the front raise, you would try to do a side leg raise out to the side. Bring it out to the side and back in. And you try to do about 10 on each side. And once you feel that you're able to do that, I would then add resistance bands or ankle weights. Once you're able to do 10 repetitions, perhaps even add a bicep curl to the exercise. So this way we accomplish strengthening numerous muscles in one exercise, and our routine becomes very, very time efficient. All right, so let's move on now. Let's assume our balance is pretty good. Let's talk about some of the foundational strength training exercises. So we always need to be able to do a squat because basically it's just sitting down and standing up. And we always want to be able to have our dinner, be able to sit and stand without having to push off on the chair or the table. Okay, so let's work on our squat. We have our legs a little wider than hip distance apart. We're going to cross the arms over just so we don't help, push ourselves up with swinging the arms. Think about having a chair behind you. Start to bend the knees, push the hips back, and come back up to standing. So think of it as sit down, stand up. Same thing. Sit down, stand up. As you stand up, have most of the weight distributed through the heels. So on your squat, what you don't want to do, let me just show you some things not to do. We don't want to start off good and then start to do this. Okay, we don't want to bow. So we just want to bring the hips back, push your heels into the floor to come up. We don't want to do anything that looks like this, down and then kind of something like this, pushing the knees forward. A good way to know if you're doing a squat properly, you can just take a chair, go in front of it, give yourself some room, and just tap down and back up. And I always tell anyone I'm working with, make sure I can see that invisible necklace. So this way we don't back. Another very important strength training exercise for the lower body. And these exercises are great for strengthening all the muscles in the lower body. We're standing, so they're weight bearing. We need to do weight bearing exercises for osteoporosis, and they work on coordination and balance, because really the most important thing is not to fall if you have low bone density. So we work on our alternating front lunges. So for example, we take one leg forward, bend both knees, and push back. Switch legs. If your knees hurt, maybe just bend them a little bit. If you have a knee injury, modify. Your goal though is giant step, bend both knees, and push back. It's an important exercise because if you feel comfortable on your lunge, if you're walking and you trip, you in muscle memory will have that ability to prevent your fall. You'll bring that leg forward. So once you're able to do the front lunge, again, we add the upper body exercises to this. Why not do a few bicep curls with it? So this way, in a short amount of time, again, we can accomplish a lot. Now, what happens if you fall backwards? Some people play pickleball, or they're in a crowded situation and someone accidentally pushes them. So we do the reverse lunge. Let's take that leg all the way back, bend both knees, and then the other leg all the way back. If that's difficult for you, step back. And as you get stronger, you can go back further, bend the knees more. If your balance is an issue, keep that chair right next to you, have one finger on it to give you some confidence until you feel like your coordination and your muscle strength has improved. So a very important exercise for balance and for strength training is to strengthen the calf and the foot area, because that's our foundation, our feet. And one of the best ways of doing that, and there's so many ways, are basic heel raises. While we do heel raises, you can pick up weights and perhaps do a lateral raise, bring the arms out to the side while you come up on your toes. What's also nice about the calf raise is that as you bring the heels down, you can get some of that important force through the bones by kind of pressing the heels down into the floor. And again, you start off with about 10 repetitions. Okay, so let's now talk about another component of an exercise program involving strength training, excuse me, and that is functional fitness. So it's important to exercise, but we want to be able to do it smartly. We want to build muscle and bone and prevent injuries. Preventing fractures is a goal. So let's hold on to 2 hand weights. And we're going to start with an exercise called the dead lift. It's basically that hip hinge. We hold on to the weights, arms are straight in front of us, soft knees, a teeny knee bend. We hip hinge, and then we use the legs and glutes to come up. So hip hinge and lift. If you feel you're not using your legs and glutes, you might want to think about as you come up, contracting the glutes to come up. When you're getting stronger and you use a heavy weight as you come up, you'd also keep the abdominals in. So this is called the deadlift or the hip hinge, one of the basic exercises in strength training. And how is this exercise practical? How can we relate this to something we do in everyday life? Let's say we need to pick up a child, a grandchild, dog, grocery bag. What we don't want to do with osteoporosis is do any type of forward bending. And that means something that looks like this. My back is rounded. And if I come up quickly, whoa, that could cause a vertebral fracture. So we want to do the following. We want to do our hip hinge and then go into a squat and lift. Okay, so if you do need to lift something to be safe, you bring your legs far apart, soft knees, and it's a combination of a squat, pushing the hips back, hip hinge, and this way we safely lift. Notice when I'm doing this, my spine is straight, and that's a safe way of lifting. So functional fitness needs to be added to your strength training program so you stay safe and prevent injuries. So what we'll do now is let's bring our screens down to the floor, and we're going to go over some abdominal exercises because since I mentioned that we can't round the back, we can't go into anything that looks like this, which is forward flexion, which is contraindicated. How are we going to strengthen our core? So let's bring our screens down and I will show you some of the modifications for abdominal exercises. Okay. So it's very important to have strong abdominals. Strong abdominals help us to maintain good balance. And if we keep our abdominal muscles and our back muscles strong, they are going to create that protection for our spine and hopefully decrease our risk of vertebral fractures. So, in the old days, we used to always do these crunches and sit-ups, and that was always no one ever liked those, but it actually caused a lot of neck issues and a lot of pulling on the head. So in order to strengthen our spine, we try to keep the head on or near the floor to avoid any type of forward flexion. The other thing we have to try to avoid is extreme twisting. We need to be able to move side to side, but we would want to eliminate some, perhaps in yoga, some of those extreme yoga positions. So when you go into a Pilates class or yoga class, make sure to tell your instructor that you need to have the modifications for Pilates and yoga poses. Okay, so let's do the following. We can't do a regular crunch. Let's do a reverse crunch. So we inhale to prepare. On the exhale, press your abdominals down and bring your legs up. This is a very safe way of strengthening the abdominals. For those of you who really have not exercised at all, you might have to do one leg at a time. The key in strength training for osteoporosis is listen to your body. Do not do anything that doesn't feel right. If something feels unusual or painful, we stop immediately. Every exercise is not for everybody. We need to know your history, your exact numbers. Have you fractured in the past? Your risk of fracture? Every program is, it's not one size fits all. Everyone's in a different place. Okay, now, if you're able to do that, you're able to go right into the dolphin kicks where we bring the knees in, legs come up. If you're very deconditioned and haven't been exercising, legs come down just a little bit before we bring the knees in. Exhale and inhale. If you have been doing exercise, you can bring them about halfway down, but make sure that you press the abdominals down to the spine. Okay. So I should mention when we do the reverse crunch, make sure that you have the legs relaxed because it's very easy just to kind of push the legs up and not engage the abdominals. Make sure to exhale, press down, inhale. Another exercise that you can do is the single leg circles from Pilates, where the leg is straight, toe is pointed, and we draw a circle on the ceiling. To make this easy, you can keep the knee bent and make the circle small. To intensify, you can make the circle larger. So there's always a modification for everybody. Notice there's no forward flexion on any of these abdominal exercises. You know, I'm not coming up like this. I'm not rounding the back. There's no strain on the neck. And just to be even, we'll take the other leg and circle. It's always nice to have a good breathing pattern. Inhale. As we exhale, gently pressing the abdominals down. Okay. So there are about 100 exercises that we do for core strengthening. And we're going to move on now to the lower back. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we need to strengthen all the major muscle groups. We need to keep all the muscle strong around the spine. So one of the basic exercises would be the bird dog or quadruped. We're on all fours. We're going to extend the leg out and the opposite arm. Now, this is done in many programs, but people are not necessarily getting the right results because you have to concentrate on extending the leg out straight. The glute has to feel contracted. If we're like this, it's not going to get that glute lower back area. So concentrate on that. Then switch legs, straight leg, glute is contracted, opposite arm is out, and bring it back. Switch again, leg out, opposite arm, and back down, and the other leg out, opposite arm, and back back down. Let's now continue to strengthen the lower back and glutes by doing the bridge, but we can also save time by adding hand weights and doing a compound exercise. So hold on to two hand weights, and as a beginner, just start with a light hand weight. Again, once you can do 10 repetitions and around repetition 5, 6, or 7. If you're not starting to feel fatigue, then go up in weight. Our goal is progressive overload. We want to use the heaviest weight that we can safely use. Okay. So we'll do our basic chest press, just reaching up and down. And we're going to do our hip raise or bridge with it. Now, one thing I'd like to mention while we do this is that this is a very common exercise. Sometimes we find, though, that people aren't using the lower back glute area. They're actually almost pushing up with the quads and the abdominals. We already strengthened the abdominals. We want to get the other side of the body. So you have to concentrate on the underside of the body when you're doing this. And if you feel that you're quad dominant, you can always put a pillow or a little ball in between the knees and press it together while you do your bridge. Okay, so the other area that's vulnerable to bone loss is the hip area. And we do hundreds of exercises to strengthen that area. What we want to feel is the tugging of the muscle on the bone. That's what stimulates the osteoblasts to do their job and get that bone denser. So one of my basic exercises is going onto our side. The knees are bent. Everything is at right angles. Using the muscles around the hip, we lift that leg up and down. And again, once you're able to do this and you feel no fatigue in that area, we would add resistance bands. We can also straighten the legs out and do some hip circles. When you do the hip circles, you want the body to be perfectly still. Keep the abdominals in, no movement from head to above the hip. Try circling the other direction. Okay, and just to be even, for those of you who are participating, we'll just do a few on the other side. Basic hip strengthener, we have everything at right angles. We're going to take that top leg up just a little bit and back down. Make sure the knee and ankle are level. So you don't want anything that looks like this. We don't want anything that looks like this. We want to bring it up with control, knee and ankle pretty much level. Okay, and to do the hip circles, the legs are straight, abdominals in, and small circles, straight leg, neutral foot. And circle the other way. Okay. So far, we've covered exercises to help with our balance, our posture, our coordination, functional fitness, how to lift and do things safely. The other thing I want to talk about briefly is we need to try to incorporate some impact exercise. That just has to do with osteogenic loading and more force through the bone. But impact exercise has to be done carefully. It's not for everybody. If you've had numerous fractures, you'd have to be very careful. If you haven't fractured, adding some impact, gentle impact, as I call it, by perhaps using a step, if you remember step aerobics, or just when we do some of those basic lunges, kind of getting more of your body weight into it. So as you progress, when you're no longer a beginner, we do add more impact exercise, which research has been shown to really be helpful for bone density. And that's why I tell everyone, tell your kids, tell your grandchildren, stay active, participate in sports, do their jumping and running. And this way, when they get older, once they get towards menopause, they might start to have decrease in bone density due to less estrogen. They're starting from a higher level because they were active as a child. So just good advice for the young people. All right, let's finish off with a few stretches. It's always good to stretch after exercise when the body is warm. Our muscles are like clay. You wouldn't want to start moving around a hard piece of clay, but when you're a little warm, it's a great time to stretch. Let's start off with our band and we'll do a hamstring stretch. We'll lie down. Let's wrap that band around the foot, pull the leg in. Stretching should not hurt. You want to just feel a little tension behind the leg. It's a good time to add any method of relaxation breathing that you like. Stress reduction is very helpful in terms of keeping our bones strong. Let's do a leg exchange. Pull that leg in, feel a little tension, no pain at all. Take some nice deep breaths. And now let's wrap that band around the front part of the foot, the ball of the foot, flex the foot. So this way we get a good stretch throughout the entire leg, including the lower leg. And as I mentioned earlier, how important our feet are, that's our foundation to keep good balance and to just be able to do any activity that we like to do. Point and flex, pull down on this, create some resistance. And let's switch to the other leg. Let's wrap this around the ball of the foot, flex the foot, flatten out the other leg, and point and flex. Okay. Let's bend the knees, pull the knees in, swivel side to side. And now place the feet down and swivel hip to hip. We're going to turn over onto all fours, and I just want to show you a safer way of doing the cat stretch, which a lot of people do in different programs and classes. And unfortunately, we'll see this a lot where the head is down and the back is just so severely curved. So when you do a cat stretch, think more about bringing your abdominals up to the spine. Just tuck the tailbone down a little bit, head down just a little bit, and then head up and hips up. And again, tuck the tailbone down, abdominals up, and this way we don't round the back in that severe manner. Well, we also want to avoid for safety. A lot of times we are in a class, there's a straddle position, and we'll see people bringing the head down to the floor, causing the severe rounding of the back. So we try to prevent that by keeping the spine straight. I like to use a band, wrap it around the foot, and just gently pull yourself in, this way avoiding the head coming down. This way we have our head to tailbone in that straight line. All right. So the other thing we need to avoid besides forward flexion is extreme twisting. And that's tricky because some people hear that they can't twist and they wind up walking around completely stiff. So I would say, you want to be able to move side to side, of course. We have to be able to drive and do our basic activities of daily living. But we wouldn't want to do a 180. I'm not even going to show you, where you're just like completely twisted. And you can just imagine how if there's very little cushion between the vertebra and the vertebra are soft, the twisting could actually cause a self fracture. So, you want to move safely. And again, everyone's a little different and you have to modify. Um, but just keep in mind, no extreme twisting and no forward bending. Let's bring our screens up. We'll do a few more stretches and then I'll be able to answer a few questions. If you need to head out to dinner or whatever time zone you're in, just head out whenever you need to. So let's get our shoulder rolls in. Again, great for just loosening up those tight muscles, which cause us to have kyphosis or a head forward posture. Let's place our hands on our shoulders, circle back, take some nice deep breaths. Okay, we always want to lengthen. We don't want compression on the spine. So whenever we get the opportunity, we try to lengthen, bring the arms up, reach up to the ceiling, feel like you're elongating. We actually also do the stretching rack almost every time on the floor. Lengthen up. And now bring the arms behind you, interlace the fingers, looking straight ahead, bring the arms away from the body. All right, so we're going to finish off with a few arm circles. I like to always end with a few deep breaths. Nice big inhale, lengthen, and exhale back. One more time.